So let's get started. Tonight's presentation is going to be in two parts. First, South High Mount's principal, Dr. Bryan, and South High Mount's assistant principal, Ms. Elizabeth Foreman, will be telling you the details of both virtual and in-person learning as in-person classes gradually resume for some students. And in the second half of the town hall, Dr. Bryan will answer the specific questions you submitted online. Now, if you miss any part of this or anyone you know misses some of it, we will post a video of this town hall sometime tomorrow that you will be able to watch online. Just really quickly, let me state the PTA's mission. The mission of the PTA is to make every child's potential a reality by engaging and empowering families and communities to advocate for all children. The involvement and support of South High Mount families in your PTA make meetings like this and many other things possible at South High Mount. So please consider becoming a part of your PTA. You can learn more about ways to help by visiting our PTA webpage at shmpta.org. And once you're there, if you click on help, there'll be a lot of information as to ways that you can help your South High Mount community. Another thing that we can do to support South High Mount is a spirit night we have coming up at Panda Express on Hewlin. It'll be October 8th, all day long. If you let them know that you're making an order to support South High Mount, 20% of the proceeds will go to PTA. And just today, we've gone live with the new South High Mount Spirit shirts. They're just $10, long sleeve versions for $15 and hoodies for $25. We will start taking pre-orders for these shirts and hoodies tonight on our website if you wish to pay by credit card. We're not going to order extra this year, so please order within the next couple of weeks, and we'll have your order for you by the end of October or beginning of November. Again, you can do that on our website, or directly to order, you can type spirit.shmpta.org. Yearbooks, yard signs, and stickers are also available for sale. If you already paid for a yearbook, we're going to be having our first pickup opportunity for those at 5 p.m. this Thursday in front of South High Mount. All of these items are available for sale online on our website, but we will also be setting up in front of school this Thursday and two more times, Tuesday and Thursday of the following week, October 1st, 6th, and 8th, at 5 p.m. in front of school if you'd like to pay cash or if you want to pick up. Now, we don't have the shirts yet. We're doing pre-orders for the shirts like we have for the past few years. Just a little bit, our PTA would like to say that Fort Worth ISD students have a real advantage over many other districts because we started with virtual learning this year, and now all students are familiar with the virtual setup. If any in-person students have to return later, if there's any quarantines or anything like that, everybody is prepared to do that, which is a great advantage we have and we should be grateful for. South High Mount students have an even bigger advantage because of our South High Mount team. Whenever I've asked Dr. Bryan questions or asked how planning is going at South High Mount, she always tells me the same thing, that with this team we have at South High Mount, we can meet the highest expectations. She's very grateful for the team she has at South High Mount, and she should be. We have an amazing team of teachers and an amazing staff that can and do make things work beautifully for our students and our families. They deserve our support more than ever this year, and we're going, and the other thing is we are all going to need a lot of patience, compassion, and grace for our students, teachers, and families this year, but South High Mount can do that for sure. Another way you can help our teachers, within the next couple of days, if you go to the PTA website and click help, again, we will have a list of Amazon wish lists for our teachers for things that they would like to have for their classroom. And just so you know that the fundraisers that PTA has done will also be reimbursing teachers up to $175 a piece for things for their classrooms. Just a little bit about our website. When you do go to shmpta.org, across the top, if you're looking on your computer, laptop, or tablet, are the different menu items you can select. If you're on your phone, you'll see three little lines on the left, and that will, the top left where the red circle is, that will pull up this menu so that you can reach the different parts of the South High Mount PTA website and hopefully keep you informed and let you know how you can help. And now we're gonna switch over and let Dr. Bryan do her presentation.
Thank you, Ken. Hi, everybody. It's good to see everybody. Let me share my screen with you guys. That way you can see a little presentation I have. I hope to answer a lot of your questions through our presentation. But, oops, hang on here. Little technical difficulties. All right, here we go. It's the name of the game these days, isn't it? Totally. Can y'all see my screen now? Can you see my puppies? All right. Let me get, all right, here we go. Thanks for bearing with me. See, a lot of grace we need during this time. So I hope to answer a lot of your questions. I appreciate so much everybody submitting your questions to us so that we could make sure we get all the information that you need so that we can make this meeting as productive as possible for all of you. Ms. Foreman, our assistant principal, and myself, along with our teachers, we all work together. Ms. Tarbox, who's here tonight, our nurse, our custodian, head custodian, Mr. Rubio, and his staff, we all work together to answer all of these questions for you. And Ms. Foreman will be answering questions on the chat as we go. If you have anything that's not answered on the presentation, but I'll try to answer as much as I can. So all of you participated in a parent survey, and we had 586 total surveys submitted. Now, some of those were repeats because people changed their mind, which is fine. So we ended up having 55% of our students that will be returning in person starting October 5th. And there's a staggered schedule, and I'll get to that in a minute. And about 45% will be staying online with us. And you can stay online the entire year if you choose to do so. And then at the end of each 6-week grading period, you can decide to go in person if you are going virtual, or if you're virtual or you're in person and you want to go virtual, you can do that as well. This is the breakdown by grade level to give you an idea. So when you see the plans that we're presenting, they're very different because, as you see, like first grade has 63 students that are coming back in person. Third grade only has 30. So the plans are very different based on those numbers. And we've really tried to be thoughtful in creating ways that we can present high quality instruction, which our kids deserve, whether they're virtual or in person. Oops, there we go. There we go. So this is what the schedule looks like. I did post this on Dojo and put some clarifying statements regarding that. So basically this Thursday and Friday, teachers will have 2 more asynchronous days where they are prepping their rooms and getting final preparations made for asynchronous and in-person, asynchronous virtual instruction as well as in-person instruction. On October 5th, beginning at 7:50, we will welcome back pre-K, kinder, first grade, and our RISE students. On October 13th, we'll welcome back the 2nd and 3rd grade. And then on the 19th, we will be fully staffed with our in-person students, and 4th and 5th grade will be joining us on the 19th. So it is a phased in transition period to keep all of our students safe. So students will maintain virtual learning until their date to return in person. And this is for the parents who selected on the survey that they were going to come back in person. Now, if you want to change your mind, you will be doing another survey, which is at fortworthisd.org/survey. However, don't try to do it right now because they have closed it for the time being. So I know they'll be reopening that because really parents were supposed to have made their decision, and then they'll have another time period at the end of the 6-week grading period, which is only a few weeks away, to be able to decide if they want to come in person or if they're in person and they want to choose to go virtual. So this is the arrival map. I hope you can see it pretty well. We'll post this also on our website. But in order to maintain safety, we are spreading out the grade levels to the different doors on the campus. So I'll start on the left-hand side. The bus will come in the cafeteria door on Thomas Place. First grade will come in the side door on Thomas Place that has the ramp and the steps. Kinder and second grade will come in the secondary main door. So that's the one behind the auditorium on Birchman. Fourth grade and Miss Rogers and Miss Kimsey will come in the main entry. Miss Pomes, who teaches kindergarten, will come in the side door on Clover Lane. And then the pre-K, Rise, fifth grade, De Hoyos, and Pinal will all come in that side pre-K door that enters the pre-K and fifth grade wing. So we are asking that you're certainly welcome to walk up your students. You would just need to park across the street, not around the building, but at the church across the street or within the neighborhood. But parents will not be allowed in the building for student safety for any reason during this time. We're not allowing visitors or parents in, just so we can maintain that safety of our kids. And we are not allowing students in the building until 7:40, and we ask that you not drop off until 7:40 because we have limited staff available who can monitor the students. And we're also going to be taking their temperature on the way in. So that's why we're spreading out and keeping things as separate as possible. You see down there at the bottom, we have lots of people on duty to help the transition, but they will be checking temperatures of the students as well. This is the dismissal map. It looks very similar. You see in the box in the middle of the map, the dismissal times are staggered. So pre-K will still be at 2:15. Kindergarten through second grade and Rise will be at 2:45. And then third through fifth will be at 2:55. If you have a situation with a sibling and you want your oldest child to meet your youngest child, you can do that. We'll do that beginning at 2:55. So until then, your kindergarten through second grade student will just stay with their teacher. But we wanted to stagger the dismissal as well for student safety. You see the big change there is first grade will come down on Thomas Place, and the bus is in the same place. Kinder second is at the front, more on the west side of west end of Birchman, sorry. And then third through fifth and Miss Pomes will be on the east end of Birchman. And then pre-K will be dismissing, as they always do, out that door on that large patio off of Clover Lane. We're also changing up rainy day dismissal as well. So the procedure there will be utilizing Class Dojo, which all of you I know have, and the teachers do a great job of communicating via Dojo. We're going to begin that at 2:45 on rainy days from the individual classroom. So what you will do is once you get to the school and you are in your location, you are going to text via Dojo the teacher and let them know if you're in the front of the school on Birchman or if you're on the side of the school, Thomas Place. And then your student will be dismissed to walk to one of those three doors, either the side door on Thomas Place or the first grade door, or we call it the secondary door, which is behind the auditorium, or the main entry door. You're asked to park there and step out of your car or be able to wave to your child so they can see you as they come out the door. We will have door monitors to watch your students walk safely and help. And then we're also putting some hall monitors out so that they can help students get to the correct doors. So we'll have plenty of staff available to be able to assist with that. Hopefully we don't need that, but you never know, right? This is probably what everybody wants to see. I know the big question is, how is the schedule going to change now that we're going to do in-person and virtual? And I can't say enough, just kudos to our teachers for their work to make sure that students are getting as much as they can from their instruction, either virtually or in person. But in order to accommodate that for everyone, please understand we do have to change the schedule, and it will look differently. The teachers will be sharing their detailed schedules with you because as I mentioned earlier, based on those numbers, they're going to look very different as to how the configuration will be. But we have done our best to maintain students with their original homeroom teacher who they are started building a relationship with, and as little transition as possible. So you'll see there by grade level, it tells you when their specials will be now. We're increasing the specials from a 30-minute block to a 45-minute block. Recess, let me go back to specials, I'm sorry. Specials will be in the classroom. So we are doing as little movement as possible, and they are recording videos that they can share with the students. And your student, let's say I have a kindergarten student and they are in Miss Hong's class. There will be the same specials teacher, so that will come to Miss Hong's class every day. And she will either give art in person or she will play the video of PE or from music so that the students can participate. And that's so that everyone is getting the same great instruction. We also do that to protect our teachers. So instead of seeing 30 different classes and all of the students that are in person, we are limiting their contact with students to just 6 different classes that they're seeing a day, which will come in, will be very important when it comes to having to do contact tracing if we have to do that. So we're keeping in mind trying to keep your students safe, giving them the highest quality, but the utmost importance to us is your child's safety and our staff's safety. So we've kept all of that in mind as we've done the schedule. So that's specials. Recess will be a 30-minute block. Some of them are split into 2 recess times. You see there, some have 2 and some have just a 30-minute block altogether. As of now, the students are going to be assigned a playground that they're going to use, and the teachers may be rotating that so that they get to work or play on different playgrounds in different areas of the school. The students will be sanitizing their hands before and after they go outside, or before they go outside and then when they're done, so that they can play on the recess equipment. If they are playing on the equipment, they will have to have their mask on because they will be close enough to other students. If they are playing in one of the field or the free play area upstairs on the patio, and they're able to be socially distanced, they will not have to wear their mask when they're outside. We'll also be giving mask breaks throughout the day, and you'll see that on the teacher's schedules. We will do those outside as much as possible so that students are able to breathe in that fresh air and be outside and get a break from wearing the mask, because we know that is going to be difficult for our students and for our teachers too. So we'll be building that in throughout the day. And then the lunch periods will be, some will be in the classroom. Pre-K through 1st grade as well as RISE are going to be in the classrooms. And then 2nd through 5th grade will be in the cafeteria where we have socially distanced the students and we're able to maximize that space. So we'll be using the entire cafeteria for 1 grade level in order to distance the students. We have an overview of the plans just to give you a general idea, but the detailed schedules will be coming by Friday via Google Classroom or the Google site for you guys. We'll put them on both for you. This is lunch. Again, breakfast and lunch are free for all students, but no a la carte items will be sold at this time. I know there was a question about how do we add money to our child's account. You won't need to do that at this time because we aren't selling any a la carte items and the meal is free. Also, sad news, but we appreciate your understanding in advance regarding this. No parent visitors will be allowed for lunch just during this time. So you'll see your child's class and you'll see the classes that are in the cafeteria are 2nd through 5th, and then the in-class and who is covering for the teacher. Just a reminder, you may or may not know, but we give teachers a 30-minute duty-free lunch. And so that's how we're doing that, by the coverage, either by the assistants or the cafeteria monitor. And 2nd through 5th grade will be covering each other for lunch. There's a more detailed recess schedule for you. I already mentioned assigned playgrounds, and they'll sanitize their hands before and after. There is the specials schedule, again, a little bit more detailed for you. I already mentioned this earlier. We're going to have all asynchronous days this Thursday and Friday to allow the teachers to do the final preparations to manage both in-person and virtual learning. And then the Fort Worth ISD Forward document has guidance from the district regarding the protocols. And so I highly recommend that you go to this page and bookmark it. And this presentation, I know Ken will be posting online, so you can go and look at the links, but lots of questions that you may have about everything from buses to PPE is down here. But it lets you know by topic. So that's a great resource for everyone. And I highly recommend that you go look there. I think I should be able to answer all of your questions, or at least I hope I can today. But if needed, you can go there to get more information. Again, I mentioned earlier about changing your choice for in-person or virtual. That will be at the end of each 6 weeks grading period. We want you to complete the survey, which is down at the bottom. And also, if you would just notify the teacher as well, so that they know, have a little bit of a heads up regarding the change in instructional model. Okay, so here are the plans by grade level to give you an idea. So for pre-K, they are remaining self-contained. And when I say self-contained, that means they will be doing the virtual and the in-person instruction at the same time. So that may look different ways, and the teachers will let you know how that will work for their classroom. But a lot of times they will bring in the virtual students, which I think is wonderful, so that they can feel like they're part of the class in the Google Meet. So your students will be able to see the kids that are in the class and be able to be a part of that, because the teacher will project it on the Promethean board so they can be a part of that. They'll also be doing small groups that way, and probably bringing in your student right there on their computer so that they can be a part of that small group. Kinder, dual language will be teaming. So it will be Ms. Harden and Ms. Hong switching at half day. We will put all of the students, in-person students will go in one room, and the teachers will be doing the switching so that the kids aren't going back and forth between rooms. When we say team, that's what we mean. All of the students will go in one room, and the teachers will be doing the switching at midday. When they are teaming, so Ms. Hong will be teaching the in-person students. Ms. Harden will be online teaching the virtual students. And then at midday, they'll switch. Ms. Hong will take over teaching virtually, and Ms. Harden will teach the in-person. Regular program for kindergarten will be self-contained. For first grade, the dual language teachers will team, And the regular program teachers will be self-contained. For second grade, I don't know why I put dual language will team and regular program will team, because we should just say they're all teaming. So they'll all be teaming in second grade. But dual language will team together. Regular program will be their own team. For third grade, dual language will team with their students. Regular program will be teaming with their students. In fourth grade, this is the one that's probably the most different, but it's a very innovative plan done by our fourth grade teachers so that they can maximize their strengths. So there will be a 3-way rotation with all of the fourth grade teachers. There are 3 of them, so they will be doing rotation between all 3 of them. So the bilingual students will be working in one group, and then the two regular programs will be in another group. They'll all be working with them. There may be a little bit of a mixture, but they will explain that a little bit better to you. It's a great plan. And then fifth grade will remain as they are. They're all self-contained, and they will stay self-contained. Again, by this Friday, we'll have the updated schedules posted on our teacher websites. So you can go to fortworthisd.org/South Highmount. If you haven't gone there lately, we're really trying to work and make our website more user-friendly for you. You can click on the tab that says Teacher Websites, and that will bring up a list of all of our teachers, and you can click on any teacher's website for more information. They will also post it on their Google Classroom. So I know there are a lot of questions about what are we going to do as students, come to school or are identified with COVID-19. So let me take a minute to share. This is information from our district about how we will handle COVID-19 cases. This gives you an idea of what we'll do if we have a COVID-19 positive case that's symptomatic. Okay. So, and this is for if we have a student that is positive with symptoms, or if we have an adult who works on our campus that's positive with symptoms. So they will remain isolated or in quarantine until they are 1 day fever-free without using fever-reducing medications. They have improved symptoms and 10 days have passed since the symptoms began. I know there's been a big question about, do we require a negative COVID test to return? And the answer is no, but they do have to meet all 3 of these conditions to be able to return in person. And Nurse Tarbox, who's going to speak later, and she will share, I know, a lot more information with you. Nurse Tarbox and Ms. Foreman and myself will all be working together if it comes, so we have a positive case. So we'll be working hand in hand. This is if we have a positive COVID-19 case, but they are asymptomatic. So they still must remain isolated. And then these 2 conditions, they have to have no symptom development and 10 days have passed since their COVID test date. So this is a kid or an adult who goes and takes a test, but they're asymptomatic, but they find out they're positive. What do we do with those? So that gives you an idea of that. The next one is, I'm sure what you're wondering is, let's say there's a confirmed case in your child's classroom. What do we do with that close contact? So we will, anytime there is a positive case at South Highmount, I will be sending a letter to everyone. So everyone will know. You will not know the person. You will not know any details, as I'm sure you can understand, due to privacy laws. We won't be sharing the details, but we will let you know when there's a positive case. You will also get a separate letter if it turns out that we did contact tracing and found that your child was within close enough contact to where they need to quarantine. So you will get a separate letter. And also, I am open to talking to anyone who may have questions about that. If you want to talk to me in further detail, I'm happy to to do that. So that is a 14-day self-quarantine from the last date of contact with that COVID-19 case. So what is close contact? So this lets you know what we are using as our measure for close contact. It is living in the same household, caring for a sick person with the virus, being within 6 feet of a sick person with the virus for at least 15 continuous minutes, or being in direct contact with the secretions from the sick person. I hate to read that to y'all, but it's very important that you understand what we mean when we say close contact. Contagion is the COVID-19 positive individuals are considered contagious 48 hours prior to their first symptoms or their test date if they're asymptomatic. So anyone in close contact during this period will ask you to self-quarantine for 14 days. This gives you an idea of what will happen if we have a symptomatic child or adult on campus. So if they report not feeling well, we'll take an immediate temperature check and determine if they're going to need to go home. We will immediately separate any student while at school, and Nurse Tarbox has done an amazing job of having a separate area in her office to keep all of our kids safe. And I know she will be going outside as much as possible while we wait for you to come pick them up. And we do ask that you come within 30 minutes. If you can't be there within 30 minutes, an hour maximum. And I hope you understand just that we're trying to handle, we may be handling multiple cases at once, or not only COVID-19 possibilities, but think of other sick children that may have something else. So we really need, if we call, we need you to come and pick up your child so that we can keep everyone as safe as possible. And then we will be cleaning those areas used by the student. The cleaning protocols, which I'll share, that's probably the next slide, we'll be cleaning as quickly as possible and making sure that we try to isolate that class from that area until we can get it cleaned. This just kind of lets you know how everything runs, how the nurse and administration will be working together. We'll be doing the contact tracing. We have a report form that we report to the district. And then we also, run it up the chain as well to my boss so that everyone is aware and in the know as to what's going on. That you see there's a link there to a COVID report form that automatically triggers to the district the cleaning protocols. It triggers a whole system of things that happen at the district level to make sure that we're taking care of our students and our staff and their safety. Again, I mentioned this, that you will get a letter to all teachers, staff, and families of all students in the school without disclosing the name of the affected individual. This lets you know kind of the contact tracing, how that works, just a good graphic for you. Again, closer than 6 feet for more than 15 minutes is the key to the contact tracing. We are, as you saw, we're really limiting, like if students are having to go to lunch, we're, asking that they go outside as much as possible to get to the cafeteria, that they're not going through the halls. We have bathrooms assigned to that wing, and those students in that wing will only be using those restrooms if they don't have a restroom in their classroom. We have put hooks outside of the restrooms, and each student will be given a lanyard to hold their mask. And on that will also go a clothespin. When they go to the restroom, they will put that clothespin outside on the hook, go into the restroom, and then when they leave, take their clothespin and put it back on their lanyard. And then we are going to teach the students that if you see that the hooks are full outside of that restroom, you do not go in. You will have to go back to your classroom, and then you will have, we'll just try to run kids through as quickly as possible. Just to try to limit that students aren't using another restroom throughout the building. We want to make sure we're limiting only those spaces in case we do get a positive case. So some closures. So it may occur if we're impacting a classroom, hallway, grade, wing, building level, just depending on the extent of the outbreak and the contacts. So short-term closures of 24 hours up to a few days may be necessary so that we can adequately identify all of the contacts and exclude them from school for the 14-day period. When the contacts, when the district feels like it's become too numerous to be identified or there's widespread exposure, we'll be doing a school 14-day closure or classroom 14-day closure or hallway 14-day closure. So we'll be, communication is key, and we really pride ourselves on communicating as much as we can with our families. So we will, definitely be letting you know as soon as we do so that you can plan accordingly. And again, just letting you know the 14-day period allows for all students and staff to be out of the school for the full incubation period. We're hoping to stop the infection there if we do have an outbreak. The daily cleaning activities, so the custodians, in addition to their schedule changing, so that they have, we have all of them on campus during school hours. So instead of we have 4 custodians. So we normally have one that works in the morning, one that works midday, and then 2 that work at night. We now have the schedule rotating to where we have, them working throughout the day. So we have more people on campus throughout the day, allowing us to do continuous cleaning and disinfecting while the students are there. They have a restroom cleaning checklist. They'll be disinfecting at least twice a day, the restrooms. And then they also have the fogger that is used at the end of the day for all of the students. The transportation is going to be following a similar procedure on the buses. And then the environmental department, we have adjusted our heating and cooling system because we do not have any windows that open at South Highmount, except for one that's in the lounge upstairs, but we have 0 windows that open. So they've replaced all of the filters, as well as they've adjusted the schedule so that the system can run a full time at night and then again in the morning before students get there at school. So they'll be starting again the schedule, at 3 a.m. to allow a full schedule of removing all the air from the building and recirculating it. And then teachers will be also, they've been given wipes and disinfectant to be able to take care of some of this in their classroom and help out with door handles, desktops, keyboards. And so when time allows, we will be disinfecting if the room's going to be unoccupied for at least 30 minutes so that we keep students safe. All righty, and Nurse Tarbox, I'm going to let you come on and share, and I'll work the slides for you.
See. Did anybody hear anything?
There you go.
Okay, great. Okay. About medications, first of all, some students will, receive medications in the morning. Typically, we're asking that for any students that will need morning medication, if you could, the parent could please give that medicine to them prior to coming to school. If they absolutely cannot, that's fine. We'll still be able to do it. And what my plan is to deliver the medication to the classrooms. So have a lot of kids that will get medicine, around the lunch hour, and they're used to coming to my clinic. Now I will be delivering medications to the classroom. It will be the same with first aid when possible. A lot of times I'll have many children in there. So I anticipate, since we don't have as many students there right now, I'm going to be taking my first aid kit to the classroom. The teachers will also be providing just a few little things. Sometimes I'll have just one example, a student who may come in for a little cuticle tear, you know, and they can just send them to the restroom, or the teacher can, you know, wash it off, and then they'll put a little Band-Aid on it. So little things like that. Otherwise, I'll be taking care of it there. We're trying to minimize students running down the halls. So let's see. I'll be making these little first aid kits for every teacher. And I'll also be giving them guidelines for just the little things that I know they can handle in the classroom for now as we get through this, you know, time of COVID. We will not be doing nebulizer treatments this year. So children who need nebulizer treatments, I will be, you know, calling the parent to pick them up if they have a nebulizer, to take them home to do the nebulizer treatment. We are accepting inhalers. And so it seems like most of the time when I have a child who needs a nebulizer treatment, they typically always have an inhaler anyway at school. So we can have the inhalers, and we ask that if they could have the spacers, that is the most effective way to deliver the medication. So we really would like you to have the spacers too. And again, that is something that the teachers will let me know. The student is asking for their inhaler, and I will take it down to them. If there's ever an emergency, which occasionally this happens with children who have asthma or are in respiratory distress, of course, if that happens, I'll call 911, and then we would call the parent. If, you know, if I determined that, you know, we needed to do that because they were in respiratory distress, that's rare. Typically I can get a hold of the parent, you know, really fast. And so we can get the nebulizer and if we had to do it at the school, you know, we could take it outside and do that if they needed to have it right then, but we are not allowed to do it in the school this year. Do I have another?
Oh, sorry.
Slide? No, that's okay.
Falling down on the job.
I'm trying to kind of follow the order. But, so I will have an isolation room in the clinic, and actually there will be a couple of them. And it's a rough isolation room. You know, this is not a hospital. And we'll be, of course, just going off symptoms. One of the main differentiating, you know, symptom of COVID versus the flu, which we always have a lot of flu, is new loss of taste or sense of smell. So, you know, there's not a lot to go off of there. We're just going to be I'll be doing the typical assessment. And if, you know, they have some of the symptoms, then as Dr. Bryan said, what I will do is, you know, we'll call the parent. You'll need to pick them up at ASAP within 30 minutes to an hour, hopefully within 30 minutes. And on the nice days, if they are symptomatic, I will take them outside and wait outside. There's a couple of little benches right out there in the front, and so that's my plan. If they have to wait, they will be in this little isolation room, and it's going to have ventilation at the top, and I'll have a little, you know, door that they'll go in, and, you know, it will be cleaned, you know, numerous times throughout the day. As I said before, students who, you know, a headache sometimes is the first symptom of the flu, and that can also be a symptom of, you know, COVID. So we're really going to have to rely on taking temperatures, and I'm going to kind of get out of order here. But one thing that is going to be really, really important now is that if you have a student, you know, your student doesn't feel well in the morning, we do not want them to come to school. In the past, you know, maybe we'll watch them throughout the day. Occasionally, maybe if a student doesn't feel well, you know, a parent might give them Tylenol or ibuprofen, and it helps them through the day. But we're asking, please don't do that now, you know, because of COVID. If they're not feeling well, just keep them home. The other thing is I'm encouraging all families to please get a thermometer if you don't have one. I've looked, and there's some oral thermometers at Walmart for $4.88, and I think that's a really good price. there's some relevance to putting your hand on their head and, you know, seeing if it's hot, but you can't really tell the exact temperature. You can tell if it's super hot and you know they have a fever, but it's real important to know exactly what their temperature is. So if you can get a thermometer, that would be great. I'll have the ability also, of course, to check orally, but we also have the, temporal, the non-touch thermometers. That's what the teachers will be using, and I have one of those also. Let's see. One of the first signs of COVID in children is nausea and diarrhea. That's what they're kind of noticing. So that's the other thing. If you notice the night before school or the morning, you know, that your child is nauseated, we would just prefer that you keep them home and see how the illness progresses or if it goes away. We would really appreciate if you would continue to teach your children how to wash their hands. What we teach them at school, or what I teach them, is that they really need to get just a little bit of water on their hands, get the soap on their hands, rub all over their hands and make bubbles. You know, turn the water off. A lot of children will want to just put their hands under the sink and just wash it all away really fast, but they need to know to make bubbles, sing their ABCs, wash all over in between their fingers and, you know, on the tops and bottom of their hands. And then wash it down the sink. And then if they're using hand gel, they need to know that they need to put the hand gel all over their hands. I see a lot of, you know, adults and children, they'll put it just on their palms and go like that. It really needs to be on the tops, on the palms, in between the fingers and the tips of the fingers, just to get all the germs off. Let's see. Please teach your children how to wear a mask. It's very, very important that it covers their nose and their mouth. And, you know, it's going to be really hard to teach the kids how to take the mask off, and they'll be attached to the lanyards. But when they do take them off, if they only will touch the strings, take them off and they can just let it fall, and then they need to wash their hands. And then the same thing, when they put it on, they just touch the string, put it over their ears, and then wash their hands with the hand gel again. Let's see. Okay, we did that. The thermometer, check your child's temperature. If your child is sick, keep them at home.
And that's it.
Is that it?
Unless
For
there's
now.
other things you want to share.
Well, let me see if I have any other. I think that's probably all for now. Thank you.
All right. I think I'm going to answer a couple of things that I know came up in the chat that I'm sorry I forgot to mention. But students, if they have a Chromebook that's been issued to them, they may bring that to school. And I think the backpack question is coming up in Ken's questions here in a second. But they can bring their device. We are trying to limit the personal devices unless they're in the upper grades, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, just because we don't want something to happen to them. But they aren't required to have a laptop if they're coming in, but we are going to be continuing to use the Google Classroom as much as possible. And depends on the teacher, they'll be using more. And then what else? There was asked about deliveries of lunches. We're not going to be delivering lunches at this time. We're trying to limit our visitors to the building. We aren't allowing visitors inside, so we're going to limit those deliveries as much as possible. What else did I forget, Ms. Foreman?
Something that might be good for the group would be if their siblings and their entry spots are different, they need to enter with their grade level, not with their sibling. There was one more.
And the reason behind that, I hope y'all understand, is we're trying to put students in those halls only once they come inside the building. So if we have a sibling walking students to class, then that brings them into another area of the building. That also reminds me, for pre-K and kindergarten, we are going to be giving wristbands to the teachers. We'll be putting them on them the first day, but you'll get an entire week of that. And if we need to do longer, we will. But each teacher will be assigned a color. So you know, if you are in Ms. Keener's class, you have the pink wristband, and everybody at South High Mount knows that too. So we make sure that they get to the right place and they stay in the right place. Because I know that I can understand that fear of, you know, you're just leaving your children to us and hoping that they get in the right place. All right, we'll answer more on the chat, and I'll start answering. I know Ken's got, you want to start sharing, Ken, and I'll.
Yes, I'm ready to start sharing, sure.
All right.
Okay, so we're going to, what I did was compiled all of the questions that all the families and parents submitted. And of course, there were lots of duplicates, and I tried to put things that were similar together. A lot of the things Dr. Bryan has already answered, so we'll go over those more quickly. Again, the video of this whole town hall will be posted sometime tomorrow, so you can watch the whole thing. So we'll try and move through it fairly quickly. We'll start, there'll be 3 sections. We'll start with the learning questions, and then we'll go to health and safety, and then just some procedural things. Again, most of it we've covered, but we'll touch on some things again. The first one was about how things are going to go. You're going to have the same teacher teaching both in person and virtual, and will we be recording classes for kids that can't join synchronously? I think maybe we could touch on that one. The rest of it, if you could go back and watch the beginning of the video, Dr. Bryan covers most of that, but about being able to watch recorded lessons asynchronously.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm glad you brought that up, because I should have mentioned that earlier. So remember, our model in Fort Worth ISD is that it is an asynchronous model. In other words, no child at any time has to come on live to participate, to have attendance or get grades. You can do that in the evenings. So let's say you have kids, multiple kids, that I know this happens to a lot of y'all, and you have 1 computer or 2 computers, right? And so you're trying to figure out, well, you're going to go live today, and then you're going to go live tomorrow. And you kind of have had to work your own schedule. Just know that they can do the lessons, watch the videos in the evenings or at a time that's convenient for you. Oh my goodness, I just lost the presentation. Can y'all see me? Okay, sorry about that. Must have just been my problem. Sorry. So please know we are recording the lessons. They will be posted. So you don't have to worry about that, and you can do it at the time that works best for your family. Does that answer that?
Yeah, I think so. The rest of it you covered in the beginning of this, and they could go back and watch or look at the slides. Also, the slide presentation that Dr. Bryan showed you all will be on the PTA website, bottom right of your screen, shmpta.org. So you can go through that at your leisure and look at some of those images, the maps and things like that. So moving to the next one, schedule changes, teacher changes, and those Dr. Bryan covered already.
And I didn't cover hybrid. So let me address that. And when I say hybrid, and let me just tell you my understanding. So if you think it's something different, you can put it in the chat. Hybrid to me means what they're doing in the high schools, where certain kids come on certain days and then they're at home other days. We are not doing that at the elementary level. So if they are coming in person, they are coming in person every day. If they are doing virtual, they're staying virtual every day.
And that covers another question that I think might come up on my slides, is that can students switch back and forth between virtual and in person, which they can't.
They can't just say on, hey, I've got we're going to do a trip, or we're going to go out of town this weekend, so we're going to go virtual. We really want you to stay with the choice that you made for that 6 weeks.
Got it.
Let's see.
This next one is also things that you covered in the beginning about teachers teaching in person and virtual students at the same time, and that varies by grade level. So that would be that slide that you. In-person students going to specials or specials coming to them. You also touched on that specials will be coming to them.
Yes.
And this was something a couple people asked if
Mhm.
how we might do extracurricular activities like student council, Lego club, things like that. Spelling bee.
So we haven't discussed, we're just trying to get things up and running. So we haven't discussed student council, how that would look. But we are doing, when virtual opportunities come our way, we are definitely open to that. For example, Ms. Foreman coordinated our online ballet class, which I know we have lots of students participating in that, and that's been great so far. Spelling Bee and Battle of the Books, those are district competitions. And so I know we'll be getting more guidance as those are normally second semester activities. So I know, have more guidance from the district as it comes closer to that.
Great. And let me just toss out here now, we've already had people ordering the new spirit shirts, which is great, but I'd like to remind the teachers not to do that yet because we have special links for them to use to order their shirts that are different from the student ones. Will in-person students continue to engage with online assets such as Epic, Raz Kids, Discovery Kids, things like that, even though they won't be bringing their computers to school with them? How will they still engage with those things?
So we have desktop computers in the classrooms that we'll be disinfecting in between. Another idea, and parents are welcome to do this and send this that I saw, was you can put a clear shower cap over the keyboard. So if you want to send that in your child's supplies. Speaking of that, we are not mixing supplies. So we would appreciate if you'd send a pencil box or a pouch that students can keep their own supplies in their desk or their table area for us. That would be much appreciated. So are there enough computers for them at school? So if they bring their Chromebook, they can use that. And then we don't have one-to-one devices at the elementary level right now. So we will be using the desktop, but we're hoping that between the folks who bring their computers plus the desktops that we have, that we should be able to manage with the students in the classroom. And they'll be disinfected with Lysol or antibacterial or disinfecting wipes, I should say.
Okay, one more thing about Chromebooks. If they have a Chromebook now, and they're doing virtual and they decide to come back to in-person, will they keep their Chromebook or turn it in? They
keep it.
Okay. And the reason that question was asked by some folks is because then if there is a quarantine, then that student might be going back to virtual and they wouldn't have a computer, but that solves that problem. They'll keep it. Has the school's Wi-Fi system been upgraded to handle the increased network traffic that will be experienced this year?
So yes, and they are running speed tests this week, and you may have noticed we've had some glitches the past couple of days as they are testing that. And then we will be working with teachers. One thing that will help if the students are on campus and they're participating in the Google Meet or part of that, we'll ask them to turn off their video just to save bandwidth, to make the internet run faster. So there'll be some things that we're doing on our end to be able to handle that increased network traffic. Because you can imagine if all the kids are on and they're streaming video at the same time, how it could really make it pretty sluggish.
Okay, and dates and procedures for when you can change your preference. You gave the address, but also when can they do that?
At the end of the 6 weeks, each 6 weeks period. And we'll be publicizing that so that you know.
And right now, the choice that students have, or that parents have made is the choice that they will begin with starting on the phase-in dates.
Yes.
And this was a question we already answered when hybrid came up. You have to choose one or the other, staying online or doing in person. You can't switch back and forth. So health and safety questions are next. Will students be required to wear masks? All students, pre-K, special ed, and will there be mask breaks and how will they be handled?
So I mentioned the mask breaks earlier, And yes, they are required to wear a mask. And I'm going to let Nurse Tarbox, do you want to chime in about the types of masks that are allowed?
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me now?
Mhm.
Let's see. Okay. Well, you can wear any type of mask really that you prefer. It can be cloth, it can be a surgical mask. What it cannot be is a mask that has a valve where if you breathe out, you know, you breathe out. Well, what happens is if a person has COVID, they're breathing out their COVID. And so those type of masks have been banned. They can't wear those. Let's see, if they cannot wear a mask and it is medically documented and we have a note from the physician why they cannot wear a mask, then they will be able to wear a face shield.
All students are getting a face shield, and we have masks for them as well. So the face shields are not required, the masks are, but we encourage the students to wear the face shield also. And if they cannot wear a mask because of a medical reason, and we have that documented from the doctor, they will wear a face shield.
Can I just jump in about two things in the chat?
Sure.
Ms. Tarbox, I think you'll have to do this one. It says, we got one about a gator type mask. I don't.
I actually have not heard any word from health services about a gator type. However, what I do know about gator type masks is that they fall off. They don't stay on. I mean, they just, you know, pull them up and down. And I could definitely ask health services and get back to the person who asked that question, but they are definitely not the safest kind of face covering, especially for a child. I mean, I think, you know, an adult is able to probably keep those, you know, on, but a child will not.
So has the district not at this point made this is an okay mask and this is not an okay mask list, but other than valves?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Do you know about that, Dr. Bryan?
It just says that it has to be a cloth covering that covers the nose and mouth.
Okay. But is the gator, if I'm remembering this correctly, is it the kind that just, it does go around the neck and then they can just pull it down, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they usually aren't cloth though. They're usually some sort of synthetic material. And so I think that's why the cloth was stated, because that is more of the surgical or the masks that go around your ears.
The other thing that was mentioned in the chat that I just want to clarify is that while you can't switch back from in-person to virtual during the marking period, like Dr. Bryan was saying, but if a student were to be in close contact with someone or need to quarantine, they are able to do virtual learning during that time. And our teachers have designed the program with that in mind.
Good point.
All right, great. And if we could just touch on recess again, about mask wearing and about limiting playgrounds.
So recess will be outside. Again, they will wear their mask if they are on the playground equipment or in close contact with other students. If they're playing in, like, on the field in the free area, they can take their mask off. And teachers will be out there monitoring that. Are there yes, there are maximums, because we have the schedule designed so that we only have a limited number of students out there at one time, and they are on different playgrounds, or different areas, I should say. And then they may touch the equipment. That's at least what we're saying for now. We will see how that goes, as with all of this, and I should say that. As we are getting feedback from you guys, from our teachers, from our students, we may be changing some things. But as of now, if they sanitize their hands before and after going outside, they can play on the playground equipment.
Got it. Social distancing in the classroom was asked by a lot of parents, and how many kids will be in each room, and will there be plastic dividers? And also something ask a couple times was, will students still sit on the floor with in mind the transmission of germs, I think is why that question was asked.
So the teachers they all have their numbers of who's coming in person. And so they are designing their rooms with being able to have the maximum social distancing possible. So to say how many kids are in each class is hard to tell because, again, it depends on the grade level, the class, and those numbers from the surveys. There are plastic dividers that the teachers are using. They're not necessarily one for every student, but there are, if they're sitting like in a pod or with other, closer to other students, they are there to separate. And then will the students sit on the floor? There are times when sometimes the teachers may have them transitioning, but there really is going to be a limited opportunity for them to be on the floor because of social distancing. It's really pretty much not possible because the teacher has to stay far away too. And certainly if you have a very strong feeling about that, you just need to let the teacher know. But honestly, it won't be very realistic for them to be sitting on the floor.
Right, great. And another thing I guess we can mention about this, and I don't know, it's kind of an individual choice among teachers, I guess, but the PTA is working on creating some outdoor spaces for outdoor classrooms, and that'll be another way for kids to get outside. And I don't know if that's something we can all have in mind, that's something to work towards, to those teachers that want to can go do some of their activities outside.
One thing that's on our, Ms. Foreman found these little, what are they called? The little fold outs. They're little plastic squares that students can sit on either in the classroom or outside that can be easily wiped down with a disinfecting wipe. We have a bunch of those on our Amazon wish list, and some were already purchased. So is there anything else you wanted to say about that? So we're going to try to use those as much as possible if students do have to sit on the floor or if they're going outside for the outdoor classroom as well. Go ahead, Ms. Foreman, anything you wanted to share on that? Okay.
I like those. I saw those too.
Uh-huh.
And PTA can definitely help with that as well. Although you touched on this, if there's anything you want to mention about using the hallways to keep kids separated, using the restroom, and limiting exposure outside the classroom between kids that aren't in the same class.
So we have been very mindful about how we have set up the schedule and how students will be transitioning in the room or in the school building if they have to. We do have we have them outside as well as inside. When you come up, you'll see outside we have little markers that are social distance markers. We also have stickers all throughout the building, all over the floors to help keep students, help them to be mindful of social distancing if they are traveling in the building. Again, as much as possible, when we travel, it will be outside. Even if we have to go the long way around, it's okay. It's great to have fresh air anyway. But if it is really storming and we do have to travel within the building, we'll be using those markers as well. And they won't be going to a specials room or PE for the time, or the gym for the time being.
Another question we got a lot was about restrictions on what students can bring to school from home, and whether or not students will share supplies in the classroom.
Right. So they can bring a backpack. We don't have too many students to where they can't all have their own locker, and those lockers will be open at the end of the day and they'll be fogged just like everything else. We encourage them to bring a water bottle also. And that is we have a more detailed plan that I didn't share earlier. That's about 6 pages of South Highmount procedures that we'll be posting on our website also, or I'll share it with you, Ken, too, to post with this. That might give you more detail about things that they can bring. And then they do need to bring their own school supply holder, if it's a box or a pouch or however you want to do that, with their school supplies in it.
Great. And I will mention again that all of these documents and the video of this actual town hall will be posted on the PTA website by sometime tomorrow, shnpta.org. If students will be using shared computers at school, which they will in the classroom, how will they be disinfected? You already touched on that, but right, you said that they would be wiping them down with disinfectant wipes. So,
And Lysol.
we had a lot of people ask about windows, and I know that South Highmount doesn't have any windows that open, but it's also been something that's been mentioned by certain administrators in the district that opening windows has its downside too for students with bad allergies and asthma. And so that's not the best solution, but what is what Fort Worth ISD is doing by bringing outside air into the air exchangers is what I was told, so that the air in the building is swapped out, you might say, and
Right.
fresh air is brought in that way. And that air is sent through filters first. So no windows to open, so not something we have to talk about. Changes to the school's cleaning and sanitation routine. You already touched on the fact that the custodians have different schedules. Now,
Yes.
to be able
So
to,
they're there throughout the day instead of having as many overnight.
parents, of course, want to know if South Highmount has everything it needs in the way of PPE, hand sanitizers, masks, and wipes, and enough to last until the foreseeable future, I suppose.
So yes, we have all that we need right now. We would always take more. So if you want to, get in touch with your child's teacher and ask, what they are in need of. Many of them have those items on their Amazon wish list. You can never have too many wipes or disinfecting spray. You can't have too much of that. So I know they would love more. And the district has basically a calendar or a schedule where they provide that to us, and we get different items based on what our needs are each week. So we'll be getting deliveries.
Dr. Bryan.
Yes.
This is Nurse Tarbox. If I can
Yeah.
interject something. Before, I think it would be great, whoever wants to donate anything, but I believe before they do that, we do have to check with what they have in mind based on what, I don't know the department, but the custodial department, I think it can only be things that they have those safety data sheets on.
I guess I'm thinking
the chemicals.
Like Lysol wipes,
Yes, the
kind of
common
stuff.
ones.
Yeah.
But remember, we had that other meeting and there was something from Sam's that was just a typical sort of thing. And they said, no, you can't use that. So.
Well, PTA has already been talking about how we can supply some alcohol-based wipes to the school, because that's something that no one's allergic to, as opposed to ingredients in some other ones, and that we know that it's effective in eliminating viruses. So that's something we're going to work on. And PTA, again, is going to post on the website the Amazon wish list of the individual teachers. So please check there for that, and be in contact with PTA so that when we do things like that and there's things that we need to provide to the school, we're organized enough to do that. A question that was asked several times was about how groups, once they're established, like a first grade class, for example, how those are determined, and how they'll be kept separate, for example, when they ride buses to school with different grade levels, and in before and after school programs that mix different grade levels.
Right. So as much as we can, we will keep kids separated. But we also know, like on a bus, there's not the ability to do that. Before or after school programs, there's not the opportunity to maintain that as much as possible. What we are trying to be mindful of is throughout the school day, what can we control? And we will control everything that we can to make sure that your kids are safe. I just want to reiterate that to you.
And that kind of flows into contact tracing, which is another question we have coming up. you'd already mentioned, the question was procedures for health checks, temperatures will be taken every day, and the daily health questionnaire. And of course, a lot of this I've got in my notes to mention anyway, so now would be a good time. A lot of this starts at home with the parents, the responsibility of making sure you're not sending a sick kid to school, and the responsibility of the kids knowing the proper techniques on washing their hands and using hand sanitizer and wearing their mask properly. So I'll let you answer about daily health checks if there's any more you wanted to say about that, but I did want to mention that it's important for parents to work with these things on their kids in advance of in-person starting.
So we have, there's information on that Fort Worth ISD page that we shared earlier. But also there will be more information in that document that I share that's our procedures, but it's basically just if your child has had a cough or fever, you want to be checking them before they're getting on the bus or before they're coming to school. And like Nurse Tarbox said, we highly recommend that you take their temperature as well and just keep them home if they do have one. And then we will be doing the temperature checks before, we'll try to get as many before they come into the building. Once students are cleared and have their temperature taken, they'll get a sticker on their hand or their shirt, which lets the teacher know that they've had their temperature checked. If not, the teacher will do it before they enter the room. And then if they do have a temperature, we'll be taking them to the side, and Nurse Tarbox will be intervening then. That's
great. It was one thing to send a kid to school with a common cold or something and mask it with Tylenol or Advil, but with COVID, I mean, just a personal aside, we can't take those chances. We can't send kids to school when they're sick, and we're going to have to all be responsible for that to protect our teachers and other families. You already talked about this, and I thought that was great. If anybody needs to know what close contact is, it's in your slides. And you've already discussed how quarantines would take place. I don't think there's any need to touch on that anymore, unless you do.
I think I've answered all of those earlier.
Yeah, I think everything in this question was covered when you talked about
close contact. But if someone has a further question, I mean, email me or reach out to me. I'll type my email in the chat here for you guys, and feel free to reach out to me if you need to.
A question asked was if symptomatic students and staff will be tested by Fort Worth ISD. And if not, what does the district consider to be an appropriate test to know if we have a positive or negative test result on a suspect case? And I don't know if maybe Nurse Tarbox can speak to this. And also, is the district providing something for those without health insurance so that they can receive testing? And what resources will be provided for those without health insurance?
Dr. Bryan, do you want me to?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I can answer a couple of those. Of course, if there is a student who has symptoms, it is strongly recommended that they be taken in to be tested for COVID-19, but it is not a requirement. So what they would need to do in that case then is it would default to 10 days since the first symptom began. They have to stay home, and then they have to be fever-free for 24 hours without fever-suppressing medication. So, it just defaults to that. I mean, it is not a requirement, and they will not be tested by Fort Worth ISD directly.
Okay, well, that answered that question.
Mm-hmm.
It's unfortunate, but maybe that's something we can approach the district at. That's not something that's decided at the school level anyway. And you mentioned this as well. If a student returns to campus for in-person instruction, but a parent is not satisfied that their student is safe because of safety procedures, can that student change back to virtual instruction? Or, as was somebody mentioned to me, if there's multiple positive cases in other grades and they feel like they don't want their student in person anymore.
Mm-hmm. So I think we would handle those on a case-by-case basis. And again, I would just encourage you to reach out to me or to Ms. Foreman, and we certainly want to address your concerns, but if safety procedures you feel like are not being followed, we need to know immediately. If you feel like that is happening anywhere, because we are all priding ourselves on having the highest expectations in regards to your child's safety. So I really implore you to tell me if something is happening that we may not be aware of.
Exactly. Good. Thank you. Okay. And then our final section of questions, we just have a few about procedures, and we know the answer to this. Parents are not going to be allowed to walk their students all the way to their classroom. Is that correct?
Yes. They won't be allowed in the building at all.
Right. But you have the wristbands, and I know the teachers at South Highmount well enough to know that no kid's going to feel lost or lonely in South Highmount. They are going to get where they need to go, and they're going to be guided there with love and care. So as hard as it is to send your pre-K or kindergarten student into a school, there's no safer or happier place to send them into like that than South Highmount. Having dropped my own pre-K student off there and seen so many others come through the door. How drop-off will work, you covered that with the map. Again, I would refer people back to the slides that were presented in the beginning of this. They'll all be on the PTA website. Entry and exit doors designated for each class. That's also on the map. Isn't that correct?
Yep. Yes.
Also on your chart, which shows which students will be going to lunch in the cafeteria and which will have it in the classroom, and lunch and breakfast will be supplied this year. Is that correct?
Yes. Free for all students.
Will uniforms be required?
Yes. And Spirit Days on Fridays.
And uniform.
A South Highmount shirt or a green shirt.
Is anything going to change policy-wise for virtual students as to what they can wear?
Say that again. See, that's what I get for trying to multitask.
That's okay. Is anything going to change for virtual students now that in-person is starting? No. They will not have to wear uniforms, correct?
No.
Okay.
They get to wear it's basically our out of dress code.
Right.
Standard dress, but yes.
Any news on after-school programs? The three we had before, the Fort Worth After School, Thomas Place, and Clayton.
So we will have Fort Worth After School. That's for 3rd through 5th grade students, and that's a free program until 5:30, I believe. I hope I'm not saying the wrong thing. Miss Black will correct me. And then we will have Clayton before and after school, and that's 6:30 to 6:30, I believe, p.m. And then we do not have Thomas Place anymore. We called and asked them, and they are not providing service at this time.
All right, thank you.
I see Elena asked a good question. Let me just address this, since I obviously couldn't multitask and type at the same time about early dismissals. Sorry, y'all. That's a good question. So that is in our South Highmount procedures. Don't get overwhelmed when you see that it's 6 pages. Hopefully it's not too overwhelming to you, but it's just really trying to give you those details. So we will have a cutoff time now. I want to say it's 1:45 for pre-K and 2:15. I can't remember for the older kids. I promise it's in that document. It's there. But we ask that you call in. Oh, do you have it, Foreman?
You're right. 1:45 and 2:15.
Okay, thanks. And you'll call in, and then we will walk the student outside to you.
And you were talking about early dismissal with that comment.
And then that said meal accounts. There's no need for meal accounts because there's no a la carte items and everything's free.
And of course, since this is South Highmount, we had several parents ask, what can we do to help our children's teachers? And I can speak to that a little bit, and then I'll let you. One thing is get involved with PTA, go to the website and fill out the form and let us know how you can help. And we'll keep you posted on things we find out to do. One of those things will be the Amazon wish lists that the teachers put together. We'll post those on the shmpta.org website. And Dr. Bryan?
I would just say we take very seriously your trust in us with your children, whether that be virtual or in person, and we will do everything we can to exceed your expectations. And so if that is not being done, please have a little bit of grace and patience with the teachers, knowing that they are doing the very best job they can. And we could not ask for a better staff. As Ken mentioned earlier, we have the best in the city serving your children at South High Mount, and they want to do everything they can to help. And so I would just say, keep that communication open with the teacher and keep reaching out to them, see if there's something that they need. They would, I'm sure, be happy to share items that they may need, but just, I think the communication and patience as much.
And then Dr. Bryan, can I
Yeah.
interject something on that too? To echo what Ken said, I think a huge help would be just to continue the great teaching at home, what the children can do with their masks, make sure that they're just super respectful about keeping their mask on when they need to keep them on, the hand washing when the teachers are encouraging them to do so. And, maybe the students too could ask their teacher, what can I do to help you in this classroom with regard to infection control things? So.
Absolutely. Thank you. And again, we're going to put all of this information up on shmpta.org. If you do it on your phone, this is what's going to look like. Go to where the red dot is there, or the 3 lines, and that will open up your menu to find all sorts of things that will help you help South High Mount. One of the things that we've put on our website, if you look where it says COVID-19, it has the Fort Worth ISD dashboard, the Tarrant County dashboard, the TEA dashboard, and the state dashboard showing COVID case counts in all those jurisdictions. Information about the town hall will be if you tap on Town Hall 929, that's today, we'll have this video and all of the documents that Dr. Bryan has mentioned. And we just want to thank you for being part of, as Dr. Bryan said, parents and students that attend the elementary school with the best team of teachers and staff and administration in the city of Fort Worth, without a doubt. Thank you all for participating. Thank you, Dr. Bryan. A huge, huge thank you to Miss Aguilera for translating this into Spanish live while we're talking, which is something I can't even imagine being able to do. So thank you for that. And thank you, Miss Foreman, for helping put this all together. And thank you for parents. I mean, I didn't submit any questions. All of these questions were submitted by parents. So I appreciate that there's that much interest in how things happen at our wonderful school. So thank you for taking part. And thank you, Dr. Bryan, for leading us through this.